Robert Krajcik reporting for Rebel News here in Lethbridge, Alberta, outside the courthouse where the trial of Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick is taking place. The RCMP interviewed Anthony Olienick shortly after his arrest on February 14th, 2022. Video of that interview has been obtained exclusively by Rebel News. It was presented as an evidentiary exhibit by the prosecution for the jurors to observe, and here we are now. We'd like to share some selected excerpts with you folks in our dear audience.
And so, I mean, that's where the problem is. It lies between, the only control that the government has is with the police, law enforcement. Mm-hmm. That's how they push their mandates or whatever through law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And so if they push to the next level and law enforcement refuses to do that, mm-hmm. which I'm hoping, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. They're going to find somebody else that will. Mm-hmm. That's how it works. Now, so that is the whole point of this. Yeah. That's what we're worried about.
We at Rebel News view this trial as something of deep importance to Canadians. And I can't say the same for so-called mainstream media, who I've essentially never seen across proceedings, and I've been here every single day. This entire interview is about 5.5 hours long. We'll upload the entirety of it for those of you with the inclination and energy to view it in its entirety. Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick are both being charged with conspiracy to murder. The Crown is alleging that the two men conspired to murder police officers during their time participating in the 2022 Coutts protest and blockade. The two defendants are also charged with unlawful possession of a firearm for a dangerous purpose and mischief over $5,000. Anthony Olienick is additionally charged with unlawful possession of an explosive device for a dangerous purpose. The two men have pled not guilty to all the charges against them, and the 2022 Coutts protest and blockade, much like the Freedom Convoy, which took place around the same time, was a peaceful and civilly disobedient demonstration broadly opposed to this governmental apparatus of surveillance and control and censorship marketed to all of us as some sort of public health measure towards reducing COVID-19 transmission. The first segment of this interview I'd like to share with you folks is one in which RCMP officer Andy Olfert tells Anthony Olienick that he has been charged with conspiracy to murder. Olienick's response initially is one of scoffing laughter. He can't seem to believe that he's heard those words. Olienick proceeds to describe the nature of the Coutts protest and blockade as he experienced it, one of peaceful and civil disobedience, one of love, one of friendliness. Olfert agrees with that description, stating that what he observed of the Coutts protest and blockade resembled a tailgate party and also was one that was family friendly. Take a look.
That's a big one, right?
Yeah. That's stupid.
Do you have any idea where that could come from?
No.
Is there anything could be misunderstood?
Probably a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff is probably twisted out of proportion just because.
And that happens, right?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of emotion going on and stuff with everything happening, and I think a lot of the words get put into people's mouths just like that.
For sure.
Because the government wants to make all this peacefulness look evil. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's what we see everywhere. Look what they're doing everywhere. Look at Ontario. Mm-hmm. Truck drivers are just trying to fuel their trucks and stay warm, and they take away their fuel and all that. And I'm like, that's just not right, I believe, And
the bottom line, we have a right to protest peacefully, right?
Yeah, and that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
100%. There wasn't a single act of any violence there.
I can't speak to say that I know what was going on inside every truck and in every building in Coutts, but I can tell you I drove through there yesterday when I first arrived, my partner and I, and especially that first site we drove through, Checkpoint 10, I think they call it, it's close to Milk River.
Oh yeah.
That's like a tailgate party.
Yeah.
It seemed like a family barbecue type atmosphere.
Yeah.
We were driving by, we were smelling the grill. I told my partner, pull over, man.
I know.
I want some Smokies or something, and ladies are, there's ladies that look like your neighbor. We're just waving at you. Everyone's smiling. I mean, there's some stuff that your typical fuck Trudeau that you get anywhere. Like honestly, I can't drive through Edmonton and Calgary without seeing that, right?
Yeah.
And
I know.
honestly, I don't care. Like honestly, I don't care. Like I didn't vote for the guy.
Yeah. I don't think
But
anybody
not a
did.
fan.
I don't
Not a
think
fan.
anybody did.
Not out here, anyways, right? Like
Well.
I think a lot of us are kind of feeling it with him.
I don't think we're the fringe minority, that's for sure. You look at the support across the country, it's pretty amazing.
I certainly don't think that you're wrong with that. Like in Alberta, I think that resonated. Whether you're on part of the convoy or at that site,
Yeah,
I think that rhetoric resonated with a lot of us.
big time.
And
I hope it does, because they're coming the way they're trying to do to prison everybody, and or like, you know, like just the government control with this universal basic incomes and
Yeah.
making digital pass, like that's Nazi Germany. I
Yeah.
believe
it's
and
just
then they twist
the
it.
globalization.
Yeah. And then they twist it and they make the guys that are out there just holding the line.
Unacceptable views.
Yep.
Like
So that's what I mean.
we're
It's
supposed to be.
unbelievable.
What I have a problem with that is we're supposed to be in a society now. Like we talk about inclusivity, which I believe in, right? I do believe that everyone should have a shot. I think that I don't think you should judge people on. I really don't, on their orientation, on their color, their religion. Like I'm like, you know, like we could. There's enough living here for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if we get back to, well, I don't know if we've never been perfect. We never had it figured out, but I think we've had it better than this.
Yeah.
But this whole thing, we're supposed to be, you know, just seeing each other as human beings and not less than and whatnot. But yet, when somebody has views that don't agree with our prime minister, he says that they're unacceptable views.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's not a harsh. The word itself unacceptable,
know.
but like for a leader of country to say that, like that's a whole segment of a large segment of the population that's unacceptable.
Hitler
Who,
did it.
who gets to decide that's unacceptable?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Hitler did the exact same thing. You guys
Yeah.
got to see that. Like,
yeah.
so that's like, it was, you know, that's where I think a lot of that stuff gets all blown out of proportion, because it's just frustrating. And we just wish that everyone could see that and
Yeah.
stand with the truck drivers. The
I think
whole
people
society,
are seeing it.
you know,
I think-
and go, you know, Mr. Government, I think you're playing everybody here.
Mhm,
Playing law enforcement, you're playing the people, you're playing everybody against each other, you're segregating,
Yeah.
and you just because you guys don't want to give up your high, powerful thrones.
Mhm.
Like, they all need to kind of get fired.
And
That's what I would say.
It's not just the government, though. I find like it's media, it's television.
Oh yeah, there you know. Well, look how much money Trudeau gives CBC, $600 million a year.
Why
Well, they
are
can make
we
them say whatever they
fund-
want.
Yeah, and you know what? And I tell you, like as a
No.
policeman, I don't feel like CBC has our backs by
Oh,
any means.
no.
Like, dude, like especially 2 summers ago,
Yeah, they don't.
like the whole narratives were all racist and stuff like
Yeah.
this, and like, holy shit, really?
Yeah.
Like all of us,
There you
like
go.
you just decided that all of us are racist.
Yeah.
And I have a huge problem with that, right?
Yeah.
Like I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood. Like,
That's why we're standing up for it.
like you know, I grew up like you know, I'm a European kid. Like
Yeah.
I'm a white guy,
Yeah.
but I grew up with like so many brown dudes. I've emceed a Sikh wedding, man. Like
Nice.
I didn't grow up like that, right? Like that's just, we were just all a bunch of dudes, right?
Mhm.
And to be said all of a sudden like they're like all cops are racist, you're racist, and
Yeah.
I was like,
You see how they
and that's CBC,
they
that's
played you
government,
guys too.
Yeah, that's
Like they
government
twisted
funded
it on
media.
you.
Government funded media.
Yeah, it is. 100%.
But I tell you what I felt like.
Like, you know, and another thing about the
Yeah.
media, the good things that get done, how come CBC's not there to report?
Yeah.
Like, we had a beautiful
Look at Convoy.
moment. We had a beautiful moment there with the Americans coming to the border.
Yeah.
Shaking hands.
I
They had a
didn't see
little
it.
barbecue.
I
No,
didn't
of course
see
you
that.
didn't. You know? And it was like the most come together, united moment. Like tears
I
were
did-
shed there.
I saw some moments like that. Like saw guys
Oh, yeah.
like licking, like praying,
Yeah.
singing "Oh Canada."
Yeah.
Like the pride in the
I
flag,
know.
which is
It's
like I'm a proud guy
It,
too.
it
Like,
really
well,
gives me goosebumps.
I'm proud of
Yeah.
my country, right? And
Me too.
believe me, you like I know you don't know me. Know that I got into this for the right reasons. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a patriot,
yeah.
and I wanted to protect Canadians. Like
That's right.
It was either this or the military for me, right?
Yeah, that was my whole thing too.
Yeah.
I was going to be whatever into that, but I chose to run my business
Yeah.
because my business was more important to me.
The second excerpt I'd like you folks to see is one in which RCMP officer Andy Olford asks Anthony Olienick what's required, what will be needed in order for the Coutts protest and blockade to be brought to an end. Olienick proceeds to describe the objectives, the goals, the intentions of the protest, and he recalls an example in which demonstrators were joined by Americans on the other side of the border. Remember, Coutts is a border village between Alberta and Montana, with Sweetgrass, an American village, on the other side, in which both Americans and Canadians sort of demonstrated together, sung one another's national anthems.
What do you think it's going to take to get out this? Do you think government's ever going to relinquish control without anything, or do you think it's going to take?
It ends when you guys side with the truckers,
Yeah,
like shoulder to shoulder.
like just us. But you think? Do you think honestly,
Yep.
if we would step across, that would be it?
Absolutely. That is it. Because that's all they have, really.
Mm-hmm.
And the military stepped down. They don't want nothing to do with it. But then my big fear is I do see law enforcement eventually going to side with freedom and love, because it only makes sense. The government then will pull the Insurrection Act. The government then will call the Insurrection Act, because they've already thrown that word out so many times now, haven't they?
Dude, today.
And then guess what? Let me
You know what
finish
happened?
this.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
So then what happens is the UN comes, which is Chinese troops. And there is an imminent invasion of Chinese troops on Canadian and American soil. And that's direct from all the stuff I've researched. People are saying, some people that are in the business, they caught wind of it, like they've prepared for that and it's coming. So
Is our military preparing for it?
yes, but they're not nowhere near equipped to deal with it. The same thing with the American military. They're so segregated now as well, with, vaccinated and this and all those policies.
Of course.
I'm worried, Wims, if you guys start getting sick and you can't fight invading army, and then the invading army just walks in here and literally rounds everybody up right to a gas chamber or execution, and then they install their totalitarian communism regime where they have. That's why you haven't seen Moderna and Pfizer get spread in China. Why? Why is there a country that's supposedly started this big virus thing? How come they're hosting an Olympics? Why are people going there? Look what we just did with the two Michaels. The nightmare there, trying to get them back. So
It's risky.
I'm look at that and go, there's so much more to that people don't really realize. And the World Economic Forum and these big globalists, they all in bed with the Asian, with China, Korea, because they're so easily conditioned to be not free, right? That's how they've lived their whole life, is they've been wearing masks for decades. Well, the smog is so bad, right? So I think that's why they work with them, because then they're easily already conditioned, whereas us free-loving creatures that believe in God and everything else, we love our freedom so much. So that's why they want to get rid of us. They want to exterminate us, in a way. And that goes for everybody. We need to stand shoulder to shoulder. That is it. There's that one meme. You see the government guy, he's standing out on a pedestal, and you got all these people here, and it's on the edge. So say this one out over the edge here, and he's standing there, and we got all these people holding this cantilever, and all of a sudden, if one person just steps off and doesn't follow what he's doing, and everybody follows, this guy, the cantilever tips. But as long as he has control over the masses, by segregation and then they'll always keep running the narrative, and it's sadly not the narrative and lifestyle you and I want to live in.
Well, there's a reason I don't live in China, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so that's why, I'm sacrificing everything to go there and do my part to stand for freedom, stand with God, stand with love.
Did you have any feeling when you went to protest there? How long you been there?
Since day one. this last, whatever, 2
That is
Saturdays.
sacrifice, man.
You know?
In the third segment, you'll see and hear Anthony Olienick say he would like to see Prime Minister Justin Trudeau hang. He also denies any sort of conspiracy to murder anyone and says it would be stupid for protesters to conspire to do anything like that, and said that there was never any intention to do that, and that if anything were to happen in a violent nature in terms of conflict between law enforcement and demonstrators, that it would be law enforcement initiating that sort of violent confrontation. If you ever end up watching the entirety of the RCMP interview of Olienick, you'll see that that's a repeated theme from Anthony Olienick. He always denies any sort of conspiracy to murder anyone and says repeatedly that he had concerns that law enforcement would initiate violence against the protesters.
About Trudeau, maybe?
Yeah, maybe about Trudeau and the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
You know, they
But
should,
no-
should get tried for treason, and
And you know what? I don't think that would. I don't even know that would be. I don't think that would be a criminal offense. Even.
No.
You couldn't be charged for that. I don't believe.
Everybody posts that shit.
You're just looking for accountability. But like this is specific. This is conspiracy to commit murder. This is like talking about causing somebody's death.
Oh God!
Like did you say anything about Trudeau?
The government, socialist government of Trudeau. You know,
Do you
maybe
remember what you
that-
said? Or
No. I wouldn't say.
about Kenny? Maybe they heard or
Yeah, maybe a little bit about Kenny.
yeah. You remember what that would have been? Or-
No, that's everybody's having those conversations.
Right. About like maybe the RCMP there? Like, did you say anything about killing the RCMP there?
No, not the
No.
RCMP. Because it's not you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's the facilitators that are puppet mastering you guys.
Right.
That's why we need you guys to stand with us.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. Right? You guys got to show that. We can't come out there with guns drawn.
Mm-hmm.
That's not making a good. That's not setting a good precedence.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So you get lots of people excited. And they're like, what do they do? How do we know? Look what happened in Nova Scotia there. RCMP guy dressed up, gunning down people.
Yeah. Crazy.
What do I do in that situation?
Yeah.
So you can't try, but that's where they're spinning it. They're spinning it to make it all like this. We're all passionate. We're all
And that may be,
excited.
right? But that's why I wanted to ask you, right? Because,
Look, I don't know anybody that I would purposely do that and say that to.
right, that you were going to kill someone or...
I don't like Trudeau. Yeah, I don't like him. I'd like to see him hang. Sure, that'd be perfect. He needs to be tried for treason and shown all the accountability that he has. And if he's proven guilty, like we know he is, hang him. And get back to how it should be. Yeah, it's just bizarre, Angie. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want some clarification, and I appreciate you, because I appreciate if you can't offer it, you can't offer, right? Like, I need to talk to them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, they have to make this make sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
That's right.
like conspiracy, like it's something that can mean like there's people conspiring. It could be like more than one person like it's planning, right? Were you made, even if you didn't say it, were you made part of a conversation, like a larger conversation where there's chatter about causing somebody's death?
No, not purposely. That's stupid. We wouldn't go purposely do anything.
Yeah.
No one would, you know,
And,
unless you guys or the UN, because that's what happens. They'll take you guys, they'll take the locals out, and they'll bring in other people from another country.
In the fourth segment, you'll see a continuation of Anthony Olienick's expressed concern that law enforcement would initiate violence with protesters, as opposed to what the RCMP is alleging that Anthony Olienick was conspiring to do.
but specifically with the conspiracy to commit murder, I asked them what's that about, and they said, Andy, I'm telling you, there was a conversation that Tony had with someone that was overheard. So someone heard this conversation where Tony specifically, and I'll find you the exact words. I told him, I said, show me. Don't just tell me.
Yeah.
Show me so I can show Tony. They said Tony said something to the effect of, all the RCMP need to die, and we're gonna kill them.
No.
Like so,
If I said that, then it was based on they're going to do the first move first, and not the RCMP.
that's different. That's different.
necessarily.
Like I think
I'm not going after it. Why would I go and start that?
I don't
Right?
know. I don't know. But that's
I
where they're
would
coming
say
from, right?
that.
And that's why I said I'm like that's not the Tony that I've gotten to know. Like I have a hard time reconciling that statement.
Yeah, see, that's where I
with
need to have my
the guy that
lawyer
I'm
here
sitting
for
with.
that, because that's how you guys can twist
That's
the
what,
story.
sorry?
I need my lawyer for that.
Yeah.
You know, because that's a twisted mind game story.
So do you think that it could be? Do you recall this conversation that might be? getting
No, I
twisted?
don't off the top of my head. No.
Okay.
You know, and if I said that, I don't know. I don't remember, but.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean it in those terms of going to be the guy that's going to start anything.
Like, would you have ever?
Why
That's
would
something
I?
you would even say though. Like,
Why would
I could. I don't think I've ever said those words. Like, do you think you even said those words?
I don't remember saying those words.
Because it's pretty drastic
It
statement,
is,
right? Like,
it is. I understand that. Yeah.
there's certain statements that, like, if I said, I'd probably remember. Like, see, things that have super shock value. Like, I'm gonna go kill a bunch of cops. That's very
Yeah.
drastic. If I said I was going to go commit a bunch of rapes, that's also very drastic.
Yeah.
I'd probably remember that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I think it might
don't
have been
remember,
a
did you?
conversation of seeing what's going on in the rest of the world, where there's
Yeah.
law enforcement being very brutal to the society, and then be like, yeah, at that point in time, we're defending our God-given right. Why should we be beaten by, somebody that's supposed to be protecting us? But you see it,
Right.
what's going on. There's shit happening all over the world, and that's what's this. So
yeah. Do you see what happened to the protesters in Paris?
yeah.
They all gassed like immediately.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even. Yeah.
So this is not like this protest is just one little simple thing, as you obviously know. This is a worldwide event. This
Oh.
is the great awakening that's happening.
100% it is.
So that's what I mean by that. Like,
Right, right.
if you guys started resorting to that, like gassing innocent kids and opening fire with your militarized police on
Yeah.
innocent civilians,
Yeah. But do you think we're there? Because I mean, I think of, and that's one thing I struggle, because I actually share a lot of your beliefs. I do. The one thing I struggled about, and we heard it first during the summer when there was the BLM protests. Is like they're Nazis, they're this, that, and now it's odd because we heard it from the left wing and the right wing saying, why aren't the cops doing anything about them? And they were very heavily criticized by the right for not doing our jobs there,
Yeah.
criticized by the left for doing our jobs too much, which is weird how you can do both.
Yeah.
And now I find there's a kind of there's largely a right-wing movement where the right wing is criticizing the police for doing, in their eyes, too much. And at the same time, ironically, the left is saying, you're not doing anything. But how can we not do anything and be doing too much? I feel when I watch, I watch as a human being, I watch as a man, and I also watch with a critical eye, thinking about the policing response when I'm watching in our country what's happening. I don't agree with all the policing response. I honestly don't. But at the same time, when I hear it say, they're Nazis, I'm like, if it was a Nazi movement, Nazi type police force in Coutts, like, that protest wouldn't have lasted a day. It probably wouldn't even be able to be established.
Well, yeah.
It would be a bloodbath, which is horrible.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in a world without happening, but like, so like when I say it, I'm like, really? Like, I think we're being a little dramatic.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's why nothing happened, because
Yeah.
nobody did nothing.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of it is.
But do you think we're in a state where you're under fear that the police are going to execute you? And
Soon.
yeah.
Yeah. The history repeats itself, Andy. And we're on the same path right now.
Yeah.
That's why I can't stress it enough that what law enforcement needs to do right now is stand with those people. Period. And all this goes away. And then it'll be for the better fight. But the more they ratchet it up, and the more that, they show up with those kind of guys, with all those little kids there, that gets everybody uneasy.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to jump the gun. I'm not jumping the gun. All my people that I know they're not, no one's jumping the gun. We're doing it just to be like, okay, this is, if you guys do something to us, that's extreme.
So,
But that's it.
so is that what those guns were for? Were they there? Like, were they there for
Protection.
protection from the police?
Or somebody that comes else, like some Antifa group or some UN group, or how long, we don't know how long this is going to go on. We could have been there for months yet.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right? And all, like I said, all of a sudden what'll happen You guys will be detailed to just back up. If nothing gets done, the government's going to get pissed. They're not going to give up. They're not going to. You can't tell me that Trudeau and Kenny are going to just come out right and say, you know what, we've been wrong this whole time. We're sorry. Here, arrest us. Try us for treason. They're not.
Well,
going to do
I don't think you ever see the try treason, but like,
yeah.
like
You think they would?
No,
Are they ever going to get investigated?
But I can't see why they wouldn't admit a mistake. Like
Yeah.
even a minimum,
go.
even as a minimum, if they don't change policy, why won't Justin come
Yeah.
out and say,
Yeah.
I said some horrible things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I need to, like, that would be a start.
Yeah.
A start.
Yeah.
At least show some respect. I said some things that were wrong,
Yeah.
and I need to clear the record right now.
Yeah.
Full stop.
That's what we'd like to hear.
I think you'd have truckers all across the country. I'm not saying they would end everything, but
Yeah. We'd be listening a little more,
hang on a minute.
right? And so, I mean, that's where the problem is. It lies between, the only control that the government has is with the police, law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they push their mandates or whatever through law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they push to the next level and law enforcement refuses to do that,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm hoping, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to find somebody else that will.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. Now, so that is the whole point of this.
Yeah.
That's what we're worried about.
So
Not necessarily
so
worried
you were
about
there,
you.
You were there prepared. You had webfires prepared because you thought the police could at any moment be coming for your life, and it was on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Is
And
that
not
it?
necessarily you guys, somebody else, some other
Yeah.
foreign entity, really.
Okay.
Because we know law enforcement, our hands are tied. You guys won't move all that equipment. No
Mm-hmm.
tow truck company's coming. Everybody's like, no way. So the government's going to get anxious, and they're going to go,
Oh, they're definitely anxious.
come on, you
Absolutely,
guys,
yeah.
how come you're not doing this? And you guys are like, well, they're peaceful. We're trying. They're standing here and they're preaching and praying. And so and eventually there comes a stalemate
Yeah.
where the government is going to ratchet it up. And they're going to either force you guys, which hopefully you guys say, this is not what we signed up for,
Yeah.
right? Or we're going to bring in foreign entity to do the dirty work. That's the whole point of that. That's my whole point.
This fifth scene that I'd like you folks to view is the most dramatic. In it, you'll see RCMP officer Andy Olford take out his mobile phone and present it to Anthony Olienick in order to show video of Marco van Hugenbos, who was described as one of the leaders of the Coutts protest and blockade, calling for an end to the demonstration after news had become known of the arrests, including Anthony Olienick. You'll see Olford sort of blame Olienick for the end of the demonstration, stating that his conduct, which included whatever behavior is alleged that led to this arrest and charge for conspiracy to murder, had tainted this protest and the broader movement and brought it to an end. And what's noteworthy here is you'll see how distraught and despondent Olienick becomes after coming to believe that he played a role in the end of this protest and demonstration that he was so invested in. You'll be able to see the agony in which he puts his face into his hands and is very, very upset over this news as it breaks to him.
I want to show you something.
Yeah.
You're talking about what would take them to leave here. Sorry, I
Yeah.
don't want to throw my hands all your food here.
That's fine.
Um,
Good afternoon.
this is
After the
today.
events of yesterday and the news released that the RCMP made arrests and come forward with, and the arrests resulted in long arm firearms, handguns, and protective equipment being unearthed, we as the Coutts convoy have decided
That's Mark. Is that Martha Smarkle?
as a peaceful protest
Who's
and
that
to
guy?
maintain that narrative, we will be rolling out tomorrow morning at
Rolling out.
Rolling out. This is him today saying this as a result of your guys' arrests.
My God.
Like that's you know what the shame is? I feel like what's happened actually had the opposite effect. Instead of strengthening it, like it's like, yeah, we don't want part of this.
Wow.
Like they're really distancing themselves from you guys. I keep watching.
morning at 10 a.m. Please come out tonight, support us, eat our food, socialize with all of us. We want to wrap this up in a peaceful way, and we thank everybody for all their support, for their prayers, and we hope that we have started something that that will have such wide-reaching effects that governments will continue to go back to the grassroots, listen to the constituents, and that these mandates, these restrictive mandates, will soon be eliminated. Thank you.
I honestly got mixed feelings about that. Like, it actually kind of makes me sad because I think there's a lot of good guys there with good hearts, and it was, I think, such a pure movement. And honestly, there's a big part of me that's rooting for these guys, but they just don't want to be a part of this. Like, there's no appetite for it amongst these guys.
That's not what we meant. We didn't mean
What
it.
was it? What was it? Like, these guys feel like they got co-opted by a militia, is what I get from it.
We're just trying to be protectors.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
all.
I know. I feel that from you, man. I do.
We're just trying to be protectors, just in case, because we've seen it all over the world, Andy. That law enforcement and governments can do bad things, and we're just there to protect. That's it.
They can, but that's why I just question. Like, I agree with you. Everything you're saying is bang on. I've seen that around the world too. I just, like, if this was truly a dictatorship, tyrannical, and again, I'm not a fan of Justin Trudeau. I'm not. These protests would have been a bloodbath day one. And we're not there. Like, we're not. They said we had a peaceful protest. It was beautiful to see, man. It was beautiful to see.
I know.
It actually warmed my heart driving through there. I walked through.
It warmed my heart every day. Like,
I didn't drive through there the first time I went through, being like, "Yo, what are these? Let's get the hell out of here!" Infringement. Like, it was like, man, look at these people coming together, and now they're rolling out because of this. Like, I'm sorry to, I'm not putting guilt on you, but like, this killed the movement in Coutts. Like, they're looking at it, they're like, man, this is not, like, these are farmers, working people, right? And I know you're a good working guy too, but when something like this goes down, man, it's not a good look for the movement or for them. Like, and there's a lot of people that just don't want no part of that. It's a shame.
that is. I'm heartbroken, Andy. Like, I am so heartbroken.
I was sad when I watched it too, man. Like, I was like, oh man, like I'm looking at these farmers, right? I'm looking at these farmers. Like, I don't know why, but they hit me right in the heart when I see them. Like, they mean no harm. They're not saying anyone else there does, but I got a heart for farmers for some reason. And they're like, it's over. Like, it's been in their eyes corrupted. It's not the pure movement. Like, I mean, they had the
I
church.
know, but that's Andy. That was none of our intentions. Trust me.
Can I show you
The
something
government is the evil.
else? And I'm just showing you stuff in the news, right? Like, this isn't me. I didn't go shoot that video. Like, they posted that, right? Like, that's not
Yeah,
Andy
I know.
or the RCMP shooting. That's
Yeah,
it's sad, man.
I'm broken.
Yeah.
Because that's not the outcome I wanted. I'm so for this freedom movement. You have no idea.
I know you are.
And now
You don't have to convince me, man.
lose my fucking mind. Oh my god.
I'm a believer in you, man. Like, everything you're saying, I believe you're down for the cause, and I believe your heart's pure. But I just,
Oh my god. I'm so broken. I'm broken.
I don't even know what to say to you, man.
If you folks value this original in the field journalism that you're not going to get anywhere else, please understand that we can't do this for free. We have operational costs, which is why we depend on our audience to keep this program going. So please visit truckertrial.com, help us out as you can, and stay up to date with our ongoing coverage.